I'm up. I don't make TBRs, so I don't usually necessarily really plan out the books that I'm going to read for each month or each season or each period, but today it is feeling like summer and I was going through the readathons that I want to participate in, and I have found that there are not really any readathons that I want to participate in June or July yet. Now that could change and I might find a readathon that I'm really interested in, but for now I don't see any. And I've really been enjoying participating in readathons, and I've really been enjoying vlogging my readathons. So right now I'm in the middle of 2 vlogs and 2 readathons, sort of. I am participating in the 1900 to 1950 readathon by Books and Things, and I'm vlogging that experience. That is for the entire month of May, and I sort of made a TBR for that, which you'll see in the beginning of the vlog. I had picked out some books that would fit into the prompts, and I have been steadily reading those all month, as well as other things. And then the other one that I'm working on is Rick McDonnell's BookTube spin number 2. So that one I got The Private Patient by P.D. James, and instead of just reading that one book, I decided to vlog my experience and read several P.D. James books. The BookTube spin 2 lasts for 2 months, and that is May and June, but because it's only 3 books that I'm going to be reading, I will obviously need to be reading other books in June and July. So I started thinking about summer and summer reading, and I started thinking about June. In June, I don't have a set readathon, but I would like to read more books with queer rep. Going through some queer rep lists, I do read books with queer rep, either by queer authors or that have queer characters in them, but I don't usually go out of my way to do so. Usually books that I'm already reading just have some queer rep in them. That's not to say that like I don't keep my eye out for queer books, but because I get all my books secondhand, sometimes it's hard to actively get queer books. So for June, I have pulled aside some books that are queer. And then for July, I also haven't found a readathon that I want to participate in yet. I have a little while for that, but I was thinking how much I've been accumulating books and acquiring books that are BookTube darlings and are very well known and renowned, and I was thinking that maybe July is a good month to try to read some of those. Now, my track record with reading books that BookTube loves and reading contemporary books and reading newer release books is not the best. I don't always love those books. I tend to like books that are older and backlist or nonfiction backlist. I'm not sure how that's gonna go. Hi, it's Mo. I just finished filming my summer TBR video, and I just wanted to pop in and say that I probably will not be reading all of these books over June and July, that this is just a pile of possibilities for my June and July, but because I've kind of enjoyed mapping out some readathons over the last few months, I like the idea of mapping out some of the potential books that I might read. So I just wanted to clarify that. I definitely don't plan on reading all 15 or 18 books that I mentioned in this video in those 2 months. Okay, bye. Most of these books I've acquired very recently, and they haven't made it into a recently acquired books video yet, but I'm going to talk about them a little bit here just to kind of get you prepped for my summer reading. For June, one of the queer rep books that I want to be sure to read was given to me by a friend who's moving. It's called Hunger Makes Me a Modern Girl, and it is a memoir by Carrie Brownstone. Carrie Brownstone is a founding member of Sleater-Kinney. You might also know her from Portlandia. I like Sleater-Kinney. I've never really seen Portlandia, but I'm excited to read this memoir. I'm not sure if it takes place over her whole life or just a part of it, but it's not too long and looks quite interesting. How many pages is it? Only 244 pages. There's a lot of pictures, so I'm excited about that. I definitely plan on getting to this in June. My friend Noah also gave me this zine called The Bandit Zine, and it is the Gender Stories issue. So I haven't read a zine in a really long time, so I also want to read this for Pride Month. A book that I recently found in a little free library is The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. I've heard a lot of great things about this. It's by Becky Chambers, and it is part of a trilogy or a series, I'm not sure. The day that I found it, I finished the book that I was carrying with me, so I started reading this and I got like 3 chapters in, and it does seem really interesting. It's a little bit long. It's like almost 450 pages. I'm not a big series person. While I was looking for books that I could read during Pride Month, I saw that this has an LGBT character. I'm not sure what letter they fall into. I'm kind of interested more after learning that to read this one. In April, I read one of Julie Smith's Skip Langdon mysteries. I got it for 25 cents at a local used bookstore, and I really liked it. It was a quick, fun mystery set in New Orleans, so I decided to get the first of the series, which is New Orleans Morning. I really was surprised at how much I enjoyed the queer rep in that other Julie Smith book and in the world of Skip Langdon. These are quick, fun reads, so I'm interested to read this one in June and see if that representation is explored here as well. Those are just a few of the books that I just have on my TBR shelf already. Some of them are very, very recently acquired, and some of them I've had for a little bit longer that has queer rep in them, and I'm definitely going to be keeping my eye out in June for more books with queer rep so that I can read more gay books during Pride Month. In July, because I wasn't participating in a specific readathon, my idea was to read some of my recently acquired BookTube favorites. So I have a few books that I've already talked about. Either you will see them in past or in future, and one of those that I got recently is Convenience Store Woman. This is a very short novel about a woman who is approaching middle age and works in a convenience store. She's quite happy with that fact, but her friends and family think that there is something very odd about it. I was so happy to find this one, and I can't wait to read it. Another book that I've already talked about in the video is Riley Sager's Final Girls. I've never read any Riley Sager before, so when I saw this one, I thought I would pick it up. Summer is a great time for thrillers. I mean, come on, any time is a great time for thrillers, so I definitely want to try that one. I actually don't know what that one's about. A book that I've talked about in a recently acquired books is The Water Cure by Sophie McIntosh. This is one of the books from my 20 books I learned about in 2020 that I want to read in 2021, and those were all books that I learned about during my first few months on BookTube, and this one I got quite a while ago and really want to give it a try. This again I think is a thriller. It's kind of like an isolated mystery. It's about a family who lives on a remote island and kind of how the patriarch of that family keeps them safe. Another book from that same video and same list is An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. I've recently seen quite a few people finish out this series. I think it's a trilogy, and it made me want to read it even more. This has kind of a future dystopian sci-fi bent where strange objects start appearing on the earth, and as they get noticed on social media, people try to really find out what is going on. I have already talked about this book as well. It is Ruth Ware's The Death of Mrs. Westaway. I've only read one Ruth Ware before, and I didn't like it. That was The Woman in Cabin 10. I didn't hate it 100%, but I definitely did not love it. But I saw this in a free little library. I thought I would pick it up. I don't know what this one is about. There's like a gate on it, so I'm assuming that maybe Mrs. Westaway was some sort of recluse, and we kind of have to find out the mystery of her. I'm not sure. The last BookTube favorite that I have talked about in another recently acquired book video is Leave the World Behind by Ruman Alam. This is a mystery set on Long Island during a catastrophic power failure. A family is renting an Airbnb, and suddenly the power goes out all over the city and in Long Island, and they are forced to deal with the owners of the home returning to the home prematurely. This one seems really creepy and really interesting. It's a little bit sci-fi, it's a little bit dystopian, it's a little bit horror, it's a little bit mystery, and it's quite short, especially because I've been to Long Island and it is a very summery place. I think this will be a good summer mystery read. The rest of the books are books that I have recently acquired and have not yet talked about. One of them is Born a Crime by Trevor Noah. I was hoping to read this one on audio because Trevor Noah does read his autobiography, and I hear that his reading is amazing and that he's really funny. I've never actually seen any of the TV programs or web programs that he's on, but I know that he is quite a smart man, and I've seen a couple of people read this book, and just his life in South Africa and how he was raised seems really, really interesting. Another book that I haven't talked about yet, but I recently acquired, is Nothing to See Here by Kevin Wilson. This one just seems like a fascinating read. The only thing I actually know about this is that a young woman goes to babysit some children that she doesn't know, and when the children get upset, they spontaneously combust. So honestly, I have no idea the rest of the story of this book, but that alone seems so intriguing, and it just seems like a good summer read. I feel like these good hardcovers, these two happen to be book of the month that I found in Free Little Libraries. Actually, this one I bought used. This one I found in a Free Little Library. Anyway, these just to me have that like summer feel. You know, you're bringing your beach bag, you're sitting on the beach, it's like easily propped open, you can put like, you know, your towel on it to keep it open. It just seems like a good summer vibe. I recently watched Meg do a reading vlog of this book, and it is Stuart Turton's The Devil in the Dark Water. Now, I was not super interested in this book or in Stuart Turton's other book, The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. They go around BookTube. They are well loved. This one I think is a little bit more divisive than the other one, but I don't know. They seem like really overhyped. They seem like really a lot, but watching Meg read this and having found it just a few weeks before her video, I was like, okay, summer book, I'll give you a try. I know that it takes place on a boat and there is a mystery happening. I don't think there's a murder, but I do think there's like kind of a paranormal element where perhaps death or the devil is actually on the boat with them. I would definitely check out Meg's video. I'll leave a link down below. She does a really good job of making you want to read the book without telling you too much about the book. A very similar book for me is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I'm not at all interested in reading Daisy Jones and the Six. I'm not at all interested in reading Malibu Rising, but this one, it is kind of an interesting mystery, I think, and kind of a fictional memoir. I don't know, is it a mystery? I'm not even sure, but I saw it at a Free Little Library and I was like, you know, everybody loves it. I just tend not to love books that everyone loves. I think this is an aging Hollywood starlet, and she is kind of thinking back through her life and going over all her past relationships. That could be amazing, or it could be totally overhyped, but hopefully I'll read it sometime in July and we'll find out. My most recent BookTube Darling find in a Free Little Library is The Vanishing Half by Brooke Bennett. I was not actually intending to read this one, but I'm currently reading Passing by Nella Larson, and I feel like those books in some ways go hand in hand. While I'm reading Passing, it is an interesting look at colorism. That was written in the 1920s, this is written in the 2020s, so I think it'll be an interesting thing to read them kind of in close succession. This is also shortlisted for the Women's Prize, and I've never read any prize books that I'm aware of. This is the first time in my life that I've been aware of the book prizes. I think this one would be a cool one to read this summer. Those are a bunch of the books that I have recently acquired and that I plan on reading over the summer. Let me know if any of the books that I've mentioned have queer rep that I don't know about, because maybe I'll push some of my July books to June so that I have some more queer rep books. Let me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks so much. Bye!